you go. Let's read it.
Call the meeting to order. Proper quorum has been determined. Ask for approval of minutes. I have a motion to approve. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. First, we have final plat and new business. First, we have final plat, Pinnacle Point subdivision, Phase 3, 21 proposed lots on 9.24 acres. Property located at Stony Point Drive, tax map 032, part of partial 24.00, R1 zoning district, partial owned by Scott Butler Deluxe Homes. Ms. Costanza.
At the workshop, we had about 13 technical items, mostly a lack of notes that needed to be carried over from the preliminary plat, and issues concerning drainage. And at this time, all technical items have been addressed, and staff is satisfied with the new submittal.
On that note, do I have a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion with all technical items being satisfied, staff being satisfied with everything that we approve as submitted.
I have a motion to approve as submitted. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Oh, we need to vote on it. We need to vote on it.
I'm sorry.
Need to vote on it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That's a real cart before the horse, isn't it? Motion carries. Next, preliminary plat, Pinnacle Point subdivision, Phase 4, 20 proposed lots at 8.98 acres. Property located at Sparrow Gap Drive, tax map 032, part of partial 24.00, zoning district R1, partial owned by Scott Butler Deluxe Homes. Ms. Costanza.
Okay, we had 5 technical items at the workshop related to utilities, and Mr. Brown and Mr. Jarrell have gone back and forth, and the new submittal is up to staff's standards, and all technical items have been addressed at this time.
Okay, on that note, do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve.
I have a motion to approve. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have a site plan, Premier Trailer Sales, proposed 1,440 square foot contractor sale building on a 12.4 acre site. Property located at 184 Charter Place, tax map 029, parcel 200, I-2 zoning district, parcel owned by Tamden Investments LLC. Mr. Stanton.
Okay. At the workshop, we had 13 technical items, which seems like a lot. However, they were all mostly minor, had to do with splitting water and sewer service and adding a few notations on impervious surface. We have received a letter indicating that no stormwater quality or quantity will be affected by the additional contractors building, and thus all technical items have been addressed.
Do I have a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion be approved as submitted.
I have a motion to approve as submitted. Do I hear a second? Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have a site plan, Verizon Wireless, proposed 230 square foot equipment shelter addition at the existing Ponderosa Wireless site. Property located at 750 Bon Aqua Drive, Laverne Water Treatment Plant, tax map 006, parcel 19.04, R2 zoning district, parcel owned by the city of Laverne and leased to SBA Communications. Ms. Costanza.
Okay, we had 6 technical items at the workshop. Mostly, staff was concerned that the new equipment shelter was going to be located in the existing 50 by 50 lease area. We have received new plans indicating that that is the case, and they have also added the notation that that they will get permission from TWRA to do the work once the nesting osprey have finished nesting. So all technical items have been addressed at this time.
Make a motion to approve as submitted.
I have a motion to approve as submitted. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next, request for recommendation to the Board of Mayor and Aldermen for rezoning of property Jeff Johnson, .3 acres, property located at 1500 New View Street, tax map 014, is that Oscar or O?
Yes.
Group map A, parcel 16, existing zoning district R3, proposed zoning district I1, parcel owned by Tim Tomlin and John Tinkham. Ms. Costanza?
Okay, if we recall at the workshop, and the applicant was unable to be here at that time, he is here today to answer questions. He is requesting that the parcel, which is .35 acres and is currently zoned R3 high-density residential, it's part of the Miracle Heights subdivision at the intersection of New View and Dick Buchanan. You can see right there. He is asking for it to be rezoned I1 light industrial for the purpose of having a small car lot. As you can see, it is surrounded by a great variety of zoning districts, with the majority being either light industrial, heavy industrial, or commercial. The parcel that is outlined in blue there is R3. As you can see, all of the properties to the right on New View are also R3, the green, and the parcels below it, which front Piercy, are actually R2. At the workshop, you can see here, there is an existing dilapidated structure which has been abandoned for a number of years. There is a rather mature tree line that runs to the bottom of that property line in between the parcel in question and the parcel directly below it, which is zoned R2. There's actually a privacy fence, and then the entire width of the property has trees that I've got some photos for you. And so the two issues are, if this were to be rezoned I1, we do have the property to the right, which is R2. I'm sorry, R3. The property to the left, to the bottom, is R2. So those two sides would have to have some sort of transitional buffer. And we discussed that at the workshop. The lot is rather narrow. It's only about 90 feet wide. So that is a concern, whether or not they'd be able to put in an adequate buffer to protect the surrounding residential. Again, the majority of the property on the street is either I1, I2, or commercial. The property has been posted now for at least a month. I've received one phone call from a person who lived on New View, and when I explained what they were hoping to accomplish at that property, they said they had no problem with it at all. It would not constitute spot zoning because we do have industrial on several sides. As you can see here, within 500-foot radius, there was about 23 properties that would be affected within the 500-foot radius, and 14 are residential, 9 are to the northwest, and southwest are industrial and commercial. And in your packet, you'll see I've got a handout that describes the transitional buffer. Which is supposed to be for the level 3, which is when industrial hits residential. It's supposed to be a 50-foot wide planted strip. The transitional buffer section does go on to talk about modifications and waivers, which there are conditions that are where the planning commission is able to waive or modify the dedication of the landscaping if, and I circled number 2 and number 4, where the strict provisions would reduce the usable area of the lot due to configuration or size to a point which would preclude a reasonable use of the lot. And another one where it may be modified if the property has sufficient natural barriers, or if they're willing to put up some other type of fencing or other type of barricade. So there are some options there. If you want to take a few minutes to look at these photos, you can see the industrial and commercial nature of the surrounding area. This is the intersection here of New View and Dick Buchanan. That's looking at the subject property from New View. That's looking directly across at the cabinet shop, beyond which is the recycling center, the cardboard and more. That's also across to the right. It's also a commercial industrial shop. This is looking down New View, where it does continue to be residential. As you can see, there's a for rent sign on the left where that commercial building is. This is looking at the corner of New View. That's the property. You can see on the back where there's the extremely mature tree line. There's also a fence that separates the back of that property from the residential property. That's looking at the side of it from a drilling and blasting company. This is the property that abuts the back of the property, and that's zoned R2. So as you can see, all those trees, you can't even see the privacy fence. It's so grown up with trees. That's looking at the drilling and blasting company from the corner of the property. Looking down, you've got a little church, and that's looking down Dick Buchanan. You've got the beer and tobacco discount store. You've got a daycare center, a tire shop, and another small car lot. So, and then this just again to look at the existing natural barrier that you've got between the rear of the property and the residential. And then that's looking again. That's a close up of it. So, and then this is the separation between the property in question and the residential property to the left on New View. So that's where there's less of a barrier. And if anybody has any questions for me or the applicant, I'd be more than happy to answer those.
And you did say this is transitional screening.
Mm-hmm.
So what would be the actual definition of unbroken, because that looks like it's broken. Screen. On transitional screening, number 3.
Mm-hmm. Generally, I mean, I think we generally interpret that to mean that it's supposed to go along the whole perimeter of that boundary, and it's supposed to, and additionally, it should be 50 foot wide along that perimeter. So, I think unbroken just means no major gaps. I mean, we don't actually have, it's not actually defined, but it's supposed to be, it's supposed to provide, adequate screening.
But the sign has been up over a month and really.
Yeah, and
there weren't calls.
I'm actually surprised. I expected,
More calls.
I expected more phone calls from the folks on New View. I expected Dick Buchanan really probably wouldn't, have much interest, but, and I got nothing from any of the folks on Piercy as well, so.
Well, I drove by it today, and it looked like the screening at the rear of it, like you're talking about, pretty thick.
Mm-hmm.
Along the left side, not as thick, but
Right.
there again, I'm sure some adjustments can be made to make it work. I mean, I think in time, quite a bit of that's gonna be zoned industrial, it's just a matter of time. So,
Mm-hmm.
as long as we can make it, as long as the owner is willing to make it acceptable to the neighbors,
Correct.
and to the board to try not to have anything obnoxious in the meantime. I don't see a problem with it personally. That's just my opinion.
I failed to bring my copy of our workshop. How many technical items did y'all present?
With a rezoning item like this, there's not really technical items. They just have to provide us with all the
Something
all the
needs to be
documentation.
addressed. Okay.
So, and which they did.
I think our biggest concern at that time was the lot size and what kind of buffer would be required.
Correct.
You know.
And
really-
again,
And we're not here to decide that tonight about the buffer that's required. We're here just to decide if we make a recommendation to the board.
Right.
and we
Mayor
probably,
Hall.
I know because the applicant wasn't able to be at the workshop, he wasn't able to discuss whether or not he had talked to the neighbors or whether or not, you know, he'd be willing to do some sort of modification for a barrier, but I'm sure he'd be more than happy to speak to those if you'd like to.
I mean, is the owner here? Is the owner here tonight? I mean, would you be willing to come up?
The applicant is here, yes.
Applicant.
Yes.
Okay, I mean, would you come up and, I just want to make, from me to you, I just want to make sure we understand each other about this.
Yes, sir.
Can you state your name and address, please, for the record?
Jeff Johnson. I live at 7553 Nolensville Road. That's in Nolensville, Tennessee.
Thank you.
I mean, you understand what we're talking about, maybe having to do a buffer?
Yes.
Or some kind of protection to the neighbors, especially to the left-hand side of the property.
Well, I plan on putting a privacy fence up anyway.
Okay.
And actually probably in the front, enlarging the fence and
Okay.
a nicer one.
Okay, I got you. Well, I mean, we just want to make you aware that there would be some requirements, because I just hate for anybody to go through this whole process and be hit with it later on, you know?
Right.
So I'd
Well, I
rather
plan on-
be aware of it now, so, yeah.
Yeah, I want it for my own privacy on that too.
Okay, I got you. Well, thank you very much.
All right.
Y'all have any more questions for me?
No, sir.
Thank you. Well, do we need any more discussion?
Okay, just to reiterate, all your requests you said were answered.
Yes,
They submitted paperwork. then.
yes.
Okay, with that being stated, do I have a recommendation?
Mr. Chairman, I think since the applicant understands what we're talking about as far as the buffer and all, I'd make a motion that we send a favorable recommendation to the Board of Mayor and Alderman on the property at 1500 Newview Street.
Okay, I have a favorable recommendation. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, I have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, I have a motion carries for a favorable recommendation to be sent to the Board of Mayor and Aldermen for the rezoning proposal for 1500 New View Street. Okay, we have another request for a recommendation to the Board of Mayor and Aldermen for an amendment to the municipal zoning ordinance as it pertains to signs. Ms. Costanza?
Okay, if you recall at the workshop, I handed out a proposed ordinance regarding amending sign variance procedure 1A and adding the word pole sign to allow, so that the new reading would be to allow for an additional wall, monument, or pole sign, provided that in the opinion of the Board of Zoning Appeals, the current or planned signage does not address the needs of the building or lot. This had to do with lots that have two different businesses on them, and at this point in time, I was advised by legal that they are still wanting to review this a little further, so if we can defer this item to next month, or withdraw it till next month until we get a better opinion from the legal team, I would be appreciative of that.
Okay. We're going to roll on. The next, we got a request for recommendation to the Board of Mayor and Aldermen for subdivision acceptance. Woodsong, Section 4, 9.23 acres, property located at the intersection of Potts Crossing and Buffalo Drive, tax map 032, parcel 5.11, 5.13, and a portion of parcel 5.06, R1 zoning district, Raja and Sam developers and contractors. Mr. Spencer.
Okay, unfortunately, Mr. Risha has not completed his, he's waiting on one last item, so I only found out today from him that he would like to have this item deferred.
Okay, it's deferred. Next, we have bonds and letters of credit. Mr. Brown.
Mr. Chairman and Board, basically there's one that's coming up July 15th. That's the next one. Everything else is up to date. The one it is July 15th is another Lake Forest, and to get you up to date on what's going on Lake Forest, we have called on two more, which was 78 and 79 and 74 and 75. We actually called on those two letters of credit, so, and that's what, like we talked about before, that's what'll happen on the rest of them also.
Okay, any questions from the board? Thank you very much.